Hey, Vertigo Nation, welcome back to another episode. Thank you for joining me. And as promised, across from me today, I have Maddox back. He is now getting ready, or actually has, as this drops, the song that he has written and been working on, recorded, is now out. So he is here to talk a little bit about the kind of keeping in the therapy of that, and also where he's going with his music and talking about that. And Maddox, I'm going to let you take over the mic for a minute and kind of just talk about what you did and how we got here. And before the mics went live, we were having a really great conversation also, and I want to revisit that, but I'm going to just kind of cue into the listeners too, as we were having this really great conversation about what happens after the song comes out, and that feeling of like, now that you completed it, it's like, well, it's done now, and then it's kind of like this weird moment that you go through.
It's definitely been a roller coaster.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? I'm back.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so, we were just talking about those. I kind of wrote this song. I started writing it like probably a year and a half ago, and it was just, it's a very angry song. It's very dark. And
well, I don't know if we've ever, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I just had a thought, and I want to clarify too. I know on the two podcasts that we've done together, we've talked about music being therapy for you, but I don't know if we've actually talked about the type of music that you like. Have you? I get maybe we did. I think maybe we talked about Whitechapel and stuff. I don't remember, but
maybe in our first. Yeah, I'm a deathcore artist, so that's already very angry music. For anyone that listens to metal and listens to like really heavy music, it's heavy. But I would say, obviously my song's heavy, but it's also just dark. It's very dark. I don't know if you would agree with me on that, but it was very very personal and I was just very angry when I wrote it, but I wrote it so long ago. So it's kind of what we were just talking about, is how like I've kind of already like parted ways with like the song emotionally so long ago, and I'm honestly just so relieved that it's out already, because I just want to get to other things like so badly.
No, I think that's one of the things. It's hard because music is so cathartic, and we pour ourselves into it, or any art form you pour yourself into. It's the emotional connection that makes art, and that's why I think, one, people appreciate it so much, but two, the artist also, it's therapeutic to get it out, and I think you were just talking about that. It's a very dark song, and I think that, it's really difficult, but once you kind of put that out there and it's out, you then detach a little bit from it, because, well, I think one of two things happen. For a while, every time you do it, you get dragged back into that place. Yep. But then there becomes this, kind of dance that happens where it's like you just then begin to see it as what it is, and that's a song that you wrote. And I think that's kind of what you're describing.
It's kind of, I'm kind of just, at this point, I really just don't care. But also, I mean, so it's like the song that I learned most of, like, mixing, mastering techniques on. Like, it was kind of like my learning song. So it's like, it took me probably 10 times longer to write it than it would have any other song, just because it's what I used as a template to learn everything on and practice on. So, like, just not even the song, but like mastering it, mixing it, EQing it. I'm trying to be a self-taught producer as well, so I was using that and having to listen to it like probably 10,000 times over. It's exhausting. And the song, because it's so dark and heavy and just very personal, it caused me a fuck ton of anxiety. I already have anxiety like crazy anyways, but I was so scared of being perceived and like having to explain myself or something like that. It's, I mean, like, even as you know, the title of the song is kind of like jarring a little bit, but
which is, you haven't let the title out yet.
It's called "Suffer Me Now."
Suffer Me Now.
Which I'll go into the meaning of that in a minute.
Yep.
But
so I think too, let's plug it. Now, this is a good opportunity to do that. So if you are a heavy metal, and actually really extreme metal, so if you like metalcore, deathcore, the more extreme styles of metal music, then you may like this song. So the name of, how do you find it? Because I found it on Spotify and I found it on Apple Music under...
my artist name is Ribjaw. Yep. The song's called "Suffer Me Now." Yep. It should be on everything. I mean, I didn't realize this because I use DistroKid. I obviously it's my first song, I didn't know, but it takes like weeks to upload to certain platforms. I didn't know that. So it could take a bit depending on what platform you're on. I don't know, like if you're on iHeartRadio, good luck. I don't know if that even made it on yet. Right. But it's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music. I was joking with my friends. I added it to Roblox, still waiting to see if it made it onto that, or like Snapchat even.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, DistroKid has a lot.
I guess, cool. Yeah, man. I guess it's the same, like in the podcast world, there are also distros like that. Podbean, I think, is one. I haven't really messed with them too much. I'm pretty boring. You can only find me on Spotify and Apple and YouTube at the moment. Probably should look into that a little bit. Oh, yeah.
My song's on TikTok, too, even.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah.
How do you get that? Just DistroKid does that, too?
Yeah, I'll even show you this picture really quick.
Okay. All right.
But, like, there's just a bunch of platforms that you check mark, and, like...
And then it, oh, okay. All right. So we're looking at his phone right now, and he's showing me that. Yeah. Oh, okay. So on the platform, what there is boxes that you can check for where you want your song to then show up. And so that's pretty cool. I guess I didn't realize you could listen to music on TikTok. I mean, obviously, I know that people.
Well, it's like.
So people can use it. Right. So people can. Is that what they mean?
It's like a sound, basically.
They can chop it up and use it for the background of their video.
So,
right?
And I kind of actually regret this. Because there's an option to do this on DistroKid. It's like. Use a song clip at I put it at 2 minutes.
Okay.
I should have put it a little bit before that, but like that ended up being like where it's at on TikTok and probably what it'll be on Snapchat too. So, but
that's pretty exciting. So you say the song's dark. Do you want to go into what it's about?
Yeah, it's just very angry. I mean, there's not really. I mean, so here's the struggle. It's like because I'm a fan of music and we talked about this, I don't want to tell people exactly what it's about. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to. I want people to like get their own.
No, I respect that.
Like thing out of it, but I do want to like, I guess, do a behind the scene, like you know, I guess. I mean, I was in a pretty. I mean, we covered this in my first couple episodes. Just like the dark place I was in a couple of years ago. I was diagnosed with panic disorder, and PTSD, and I've just dealt with like the whole emotional spectrum since.
Yeah,
and
absolutely,
kind of just learning how to live life again. But so I was just very pissed off. And, it's kind of what the song's about. It's just pure anger, I guess. Not really directed at anybody. It's just there. It's directed. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple lyrics. I just don't want to. Some of it's a little too personal, so I don't really want to go into it too much. But
that's all right.
I also don't have the lyrics uploaded yet. I need to do that.
Yeah.
Remind me.
Well, I think that you're right. I like the idea of artists allowing their fans to come up with and put their own spin or interpretation into their lyrics, because then that's how we connect with it, right?
I mean, I want to go over what it means in a broad sense, like not anything like I don't want anyone to know it, like word for word, bar for bar, what it means.
Sure, I agree. I get it.
But like this song title, it kind of sounds more edgier than it actually is. But it's just, it's kind of about like taking like control back in your life. Like I think they say in the Lord of the Rings, I think Aragorn says it or some shit like that. But it's just about like taking by force, like taking, like suffer me means like I'm gonna have my way and you're gonna deal with it basically.
Right.
So.
Right. It's in a sense then what I hear you saying is that the song then is like you're gonna now hear my voice. You're going to now hear my truth, my interpretation of, you know, the experience that was.
Well, and it's kind of a reflection on like the biggest struggle I have had is being, like I was just saying, like fear of being perceived and being vocal and just openly without like fear of judgment and shame and guilt and shit. So that's kind of what it's like. It's almost forcitive to get me out of that, I guess, in a sense. So it's like a way to conquer my fears and also take frustration out at the same time.
Right.
So it's very, and this is also what made me more nervous about releasing, especially as my first, is because it's like, it's a very jarring name. Like people are probably gonna be like, oh, it's just edgy or something, but it's actually like way more depth to it than I probably even thought at first writing it. But it just kind of I kind of understood it more as time went on. So
I think too that because I've had this happen too, you connect with a quote, something of that nature, and I think that the reason I think that people get attached to these quotes is they somehow grow with them, if that makes sense.
Oh,
like the
100%.
ones that you really kind of become, I guess a mantra would be more, those quotes that turn into mantras, I think they do change meaning because they change with you. And I think that's kind of the cool thing about, so for you, I'm saying suffer me, right? That small quote saying whatever, has a impact that has changed with you,
and I mean, I think we talked about this in the last few pods, but the word suffer has like grabbed my attention for a very long time, and like you were saying, I've kind of grown with the definition of that word, like because there's such a wide definition to the word suffer and suffering, kind of like grief, how we were talking about in that one episode. So I've always been infatuated with that word, and it's always just like intuitively just like gnawed at me. Mm-hmm. So that was also a thing. But then people will look at suffer that like at first glance you kind of would just think like, oh, that means like pain, torment, torture, mm-hmm. like, you know what I mean? But that's not really at all what it means, at least to me. So I mean, that's like one of the one definitions of it. So,
right.
But there's way more definition to the word than it lets on.
Right.
So.
No, I agree. We talked about that the last episode, actually, how, suffer has actually different meanings that, mm-hmm. For each experience, I guess.
It's kind of similar to grief. Like, it's like,
there's
an emotional spectrum to it.
Yes, that's a better,
because like
in
Buddhism, like they say life is suffering, and part of it is because of the good things that happen in life. It's not because life is bad. It's not like a nihilistic outlook on life. It's actually because of the good things. So life is great, but it ends, so that henceforth brings pain.
Yep.
So that's like the
because really you could think about it, the suffering can mean, I have so much good, so much to be happy for, my family, me specifically, grandkids now, like the family is growing and love is growing, and to think that I only have a short amount of time, that is suffering.
That's suffering.
So yeah, absolutely, I understand that definition.
But my fear of being perceived, and people are just going to be like, oh, they'll just think of like the well-known definition of just like, oh, it's like painful, or or right. pain or torment or whatever it is. So I'm like, oh shit, this is going to come off as like super edgy and just cringe. And
well, is it that, or is it the fact that we overthink these things? Because
I overthink.
Because I think that first of all, I think that there are a lot of people who do self-analyze, and I think it's also very well true that we are our own worst critics.
100%.
But then when you add in the fact that there's some struggles with perfectionism, and there's some struggles with
which are all things that
anxiety, and and they're all things that are there. And so I think what then tends to happen is we overthink all of the the song is great. First of all, I've listened to it.
Thank you.
I love it. I think that it's incredible. I think that it's inspiring, because from one, it doesn't matter that we play two different styles of music, and it doesn't matter that, we might even have different tastes in music. The musicianship that you have displayed and what you have learned, all self-taught, is absolutely incredible. And I think that's what's really inspiring about it, is to just think like, this is incredible, especially you started playing guitar kind of late. It wasn't like you had a guitar in your hand at like
freshman year.
Yeah. You
freshman
were what,
year 14? In high school. Yep. I'm 20 now.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
So that's pretty incredible too, because I have, to think about that, where you are, not only playing this, it's fast, it's intricate, guitar parts, but also the fact that you really didn't even start finding your voice. Because when I remember when you really were starting to learn the guitar, you were listening to more like Motley Crue and those 80s, those classic 80s bands, and you were learning more that style of guitar. It wasn't, I know you always were a Slipknot fan, but it wasn't until kind of later, I would almost say more
I think
later high school, like junior,
my music
senior.
taste has definitely grown with
Yeah,
my musical ability, and I think I just, I was a huge nerd, so I just fucking went through it so quick, and just now I'm like, instead of finding myself like almost competing with other guitar players, I'm like trying to innovate. But so like I've been playing guitar for like 6 or 7 years, but like I only started playing other things like a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago.
Right.
So I didn't even touch anything else until very recently, actually. Yeah. So, but I think this song especially is just very, and I think I've even said this to you and Mom, like tattoos, like I've just gotten like random tattoos that have like zero meaning, but over time they gain meaning. And I think I'm starting to realize now too, like the song almost reflects a huge part of me, like with the anxiety and the fear of everything. I think it's almost like forcing myself to just, I'm almost suffering myself. Like,
yeah.
So,
yeah.
I'm suffering me now. So
right.
But that's kind of the evolved like feeling I've had towards the song now. But yeah, no, I'm definitely super proud of it. I learned how to master it in 2 days, by the way.
Yeah.
Just want to pat myself on the back.
Absolutely.
I'm not happy with it. I want to do better, obviously. And for the next thing, I'll have more time to prep. But
that's the thing, man. And I think that's the other hard part to break is we're never going to get it right exactly the first time. And I have to start appreciating that there is beauty in the imperfections.
No, but I got it to a standard, like a industry standard level,
yes.
Which that in of itself I was really proud of.
Absolutely. And even though it was your first song, though, in fairness, though, you had months and months and hours and hours and hours of watching videos, playing with your software, playing with your preamps and your guitar. You went through the ringer learning this stuff too. So it's not like, even though it is your first song that you've released, very true, and even though it is the first time that you've put pen to paper, so to speak, you also spent a lot of time learning and playing with, and well, it's also so you got a lot of time behind it, is what I'm saying.
I mean, I have so many like rough drafts as a song. I have one that's already, I have like one or two that are already completed. I just have to mix and master it. But I've had to like learn how to compose, be a songwriter. That in and of itself was a skill I heavily overlooked. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll just write this song really quick. No, it does not happen like that.
Right.
And you can't force creativity too, which is like kind of the worst thing about it. So like, and I would beat myself up like over taking so long, because I've been saying I want to release music for years, but I'm honestly so glad I didn't, because I was just telling Mom this before I came in here. I would have released something I would not have been proud of and wouldn't have stood up to the test of time.
Right.
Because you want to leave like a legacy almost.
Absolutely.
So you want, like I was telling her, there are bands that have great songs, like great composed songs, but the production and everything, they are just so poor quality. Like, so it's like I just didn't want to end up being like that. I wanted it to sound decent, at least, like right. It's listenable, it's palatable.
No, absolutely.
But I also told her I also plan on remastering it eventually. So,
right. No, I think it's great. And I'm proud of you for putting it out, because I know what a big step that is. We tend to be able to sit here and talk about, when we do this and when this comes
like
about.
Months ago, when it was kind of finished and stuff, I was like throwing up, puking, crying, not wanting to, because I was so like terrified. Honest to God, yesterday when because I had it released at midnight, I didn't even think about it the entire day. And it wasn't even like because I was trying not to. I literally just, I didn't give a fuck. I just completely escaped my mind.
Yep.
I played video games yesterday. I went to bed at like way before. I didn't stay up to the release or anything. I just literally forgot about it. Woke up today like, oh shit, my song dropped. Guess I gotta promote it now.
Yep.
And so I think we've also gone over to like we definitely suffer in our heads far more. Far more in our heads than reality. So, that. And I've had nothing but great feedback. I mean, I've had friends, people I don't speak to, listen to it. People who don't even listen to like that type of music, listen to it and give me good feedback. Like, I haven't had anyone say anything negative yet. So I'm like, well, they might I was fucking worried about nothing.
Right. I mean, they might not. And if they do, it's also there are people who live to critique.
Yeah, I also just don't care.
You know, and yeah, so you just got to shake that kind of stuff.
Well, because other than like
know?
you guys, I haven't had, and people that don't listen to the music don't understand how much goes into it with production, mastering, EQing. Like, I'm learning stuff that people go to college for in my own room.
Yeah, no, it's true, because I know even on the small scale of what you need to do for podcast editing, which isn't like a great, you know, whatever. It's not a lot. It's vocals, so you know what I'm saying?
No, but it's still a skill.
Right.
It's
still, I'm not taking away from that, but I guess what I'm saying is the simplicity of it. It's just vocals. But every time I think I will have it just a little bit better from week to week, and then I'll listen back to it on Apple or Spotify, because I actually listen on all of them just to kind of feel it out. And you know, I'll be like, damn, like, you know, when I originally released our episode, I was way louder than you. And I heard it back like a day or two later, and I was like, no, this cannot be like this. Re-uploaded a new mix because I was like, this is bad.
Well, I've heard so many guys say like, oh yeah, we should start a podcast. It'd be so easy. And then they get down to the nitty-gritty details. It's actually like with recording anything, it's the tiny details. Like,
you're right.
I mean, even before you had acoustic treatment, you know what I mean? You could hear that in the mic. That's not something people think about.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Having good quality mics, having headphones, having studio equipment, having anything, an audio interface. You know what I mean? Yep. Like, people don't think about those small, minute details, but they make a difference. So it's a trade. It's like you have to really learn. I mean, I don't even want to know how much money of gear is just sitting in my bedroom right now. Probably $10K with all my guitars.
Well, and that's the thing. But it's something that you enjoy doing, you know? I mean, people can scoff at it, but tell me you haven't spent money at golf, or tell me you haven't spent, you know what I mean? Everybody's got their thing that they tend to throw some money into, you know, so.
Well, it's so easy to buy equipment to do something in any aspect, but it's like you have to really learn how to, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So
the thing about like production for me is there's a million tips and tricks on like production, or like how to EQ a guitar, but then you have to learn like I was looking at videos how to EQ a guitar properly to sit in a mix, and then I'd realize these guys are playing rock and roll. So the application actually has nothing to do with what I'm trying to do. So I had to actually just learn how to like do it, and then be like, okay, now I have to actually change it for this way that I'm going to do. So there was no like skipping, you know what I mean? I didn't get to skip the line. I didn't get to be like, oh yeah, I'll watch this video and it tells me to put it right here, because it's a subjective. So like even every mix, EQing, every mastering, and any song, they're all different. Even though they sound homogenous, they're all different, but it's to taste. So like, and it's all subjective. So that's like the hard part. There's no like one glove fits all rule to it. So you have to just learn why you're doing it before you do it with this type of thing.
Yeah. No,
and that goes for podcasting. That goes for anything you have to do with recording. It's just, there's so much software. I mean, like, I didn't know what a compressor did when I first started. Now I definitely know. I could probably write an essay on it. Unfortunately.
And that's the thing. And if you think about it, one of the things... So I got a question first. What do you enjoy more? The creating of the song and that part of the artistic expression, or the recording as far as the actual recording, mixing, mastering? Like, what part of the experience do you enjoy more? And I'm sorry.
I'm not gonna lie, I honestly just love playing guitar. Like because I'm a guitar player at heart. So like, and I've actually been beating myself. I got to make more time to just play guitar. I've been beating myself up for it, but like, because every like day I don't play guitar, I get rusty. Or you don't get rusty, but you're not like innovating. You know what I mean? I look at like, it's not that I'm competing with anybody, but I want to push the standards. You know what I mean? I don't want to innovate. So like, I can't really be doing that if I'm not staying on top of like new techniques that are out. You know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah, absolutely.
So, but I love,
that's very true.
I love just rough drafting shit. I love producing and stuff because I want to do that as a job when I'm older, but that's not the fun part for me. I mean, I definitely could do it. Like, I would enjoy doing it for money, don't get me wrong. I think it would be fun over anything else I could be doing for money. But like, my favorite part is just recording guitar, bass, and programming the drums. Like, I love that shit. Having to tweak the EQ effects, like, that stuff can be miserable sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, now that I know what I'm doing, it's not going to be as like nearly as bad on my next like projects, but learning it just it's tedious as shit.
No, I get that. Well, because the fine details, you know, are always the most difficult because they are the fine details.
And it's just shit that you wouldn't think would make a difference that definitely does.
Yep.
And also too, like things that like people don't know this, like because I use Neural DSP, the digital guitar amps on like on my guitars, right? There's a million different knobs that can counteract each other, but like in different ways. So like, you know, you can add bass, or you could take away bass and then add resonance on a guitar amp, and they're gonna kind of do the same thing, but like shift a specific frequency in a different way. So it's like playing tug of war, basically, with a million knobs.
Yeah.
But you have to know like what you're doing to do it.
Right.
So now that I know how to do it and know why I'm doing it, it's more like intent. Like now that I know what I'm doing with intent, it's going to be far easier for my future projects.
I understand that.
But it's like kind of just figuring it out all out, trying to hoping that it just all falls into place, basically.
See, no, you said something that sparked my interest too, and what I can identify with too is because the way that I learn is I can't just learn something to say, yeah, I want you to set the knob here when you do this part, or I want you should have this knob here. It's like I want to know the why too. That's always the hard part
like
for me.
YouTube videos like on production, so they don't really explain that stuff a lot. They're just like, they'll just be like, yeah, I put this knob here, I put this frequency here. Okay, right. So like, why did you do that? Because like, you know, why did you put the 1K frequency up? Oh, well, it makes it more nasally. It takes away the little bit of the low end and the mids. They wouldn't say it like that. I had to figure that out on my own. You know what I mean? So now that I understand what things do, I have more intent with EQ. Yep. Like I know what to do without having to look up a guide or anything. So, but that was just kind of the miserable part about getting through my first song, is just learning how to do that. I wish I could remember the story now. I just watched, because you know me, I'm always watching documentaries, especially music documentaries. And I can't remember who it was, and it's driving me crazy, but they were talking about how the producer was in listening back to the track, and so the band was in with them. They all had their headphones on, and the producer's like, do you hear that? And they're all looking at each other like, what? And he's like, do you hear that? And he's like, someone was tapping their foot during the damn song. And everybody else, like, they're like, what the hell is he talking about? But he could hear like just a tap. No, and I've actually
faintly or whatever. So also the
100%.
ear training that it takes, I guess, is my point in telling that.
I've been there too with like guitar takes where like I could hear my computer fan on or some shit. It's very faint, but it would piss me off. Or like I have like string wraps that go at like the top of the neck on my guitar, because it stops the buzzing where the strings pass the nut towards it. You know how like they ring out sometimes in high gain. There would be takes where I'm like, oh shit, I forgot it. And then you just hear it ding ding, very slightly, would piss me off. So then, and like with some of the shit that I've been writing, it's like super hard to get that perfect take and get the transients to line up on all the takes, so it sounds like one take. Right. And
there is some effort that goes into it.
Well, and I
so all of this
I quad track my guitars. I quad track my guitars, and I double track my basses. So, like, and I do like bar by bar for the guitars, and because I do a lot of, so this is a deathcore song, but I also have been writing metalcore songs, which are more like, I don't know how to explain it. People that listen to modern metalcore will know what I mean. It's just like how the guitars play, like tapping riffs or something, or like just kind of more. It's just more difficult.
There's more intricacy to it.
And then having to quad track it, which tracking it 4 times, and then getting it to sound right. Also, I have 2 of those tracks panned, so like you want the left and the right to sound the most similar. Right, because you don't want your right to be off by a millisecond and then the left be. So it's such a pain in the ass.
Now, so what do you do? Play to the track?
I play it to the BPM.
But do you also listen back to, so when you're recording the second track, are you listening to the first track to kind of make sure that you're syncing with it?
So, well, that's like the hard part, is getting one, like your first track has to be like basically perfect. And I've had to go back and be like, there's one flaw in the original take, and all the takes have this one flaw now, and now I have to go and fucking redo it again. I've had to do that way more times than I want to admit, and it sucks because it could take hours just to track the guitars perfectly. Even though like I know how to play it, it's just, you know, it's like, it's stuff that like shows up on a recording. You know, it's so much different live. No one will give a shit if you mess up or anything, or like you're off time for like a millisecond, right?
Right.
You
it's usually not noticeable.
So like it's you know, because it's the metronome, like 1, 2, 3, 4. But then there's the notes that have to, each individual guitar note has to line up in that BPM too. Yep. So, and you could tell when it's like off by just a little bit. And it's, I mean, to you, or to like people that are just hearing it, it might not be like, probably won't even notice it, but I'll fucking notice it. Right. Even listening back to my song that's now released, there's a lot of shit I would change, and I would re-record if I had the chance. But honestly, I'm just so like, I just don't care. I'm like, it's out now. I don't give a fuck. It's imperfect as shit. I don't care. I'm gonna try not to have those little itty bitty mistakes on my next shit, but I just like, it just gets to a point too where it's exhausting. Yeah, you just don't care.
You wear yourself out thinking about it. But it's also the thing where it's like, once you've put that first one out, and then it is a huge learning curve. Like, you learn so much from that first whatever, you know.
Also too, some of the flaws, and like, because I was like listening back to the enunciation on some of the words, I'm like, fuck, I probably would have done this differently. But then also too, I mean, at least I know, to me, like, I always love singing along the songs, and like they have a weird enunciation or something, but that like makes the vocal run to me or something like that. Like makes it for me. It's like, I like listening. Well, I think makes it catchier.
Yeah. For example,
but it's just so hard to perceive that when it's yourself.
Yeah.
So
right.
That's why I was like, I don't know. I just got so exhausted with like, you know. I was just like, whatever. It's just flawed. The master will sound good, so I don't care.
Well, there is the thought though. There is the thought that the beauty is in our imperfections.
No, 100%.
You know, we are flawed, and if you believe in a higher power, that's the whole, like, there is beauty in our imperfections, because that's what makes us individual, you know?
Well, also, like I was saying, like...
And so I think the same is the same for our art.
I was suffering me, now I was just letting go. Like, it was just, so that's why, and I never pictured it, but I think it's just, the meaning of that song has grown on me over time. It's just, again, it's
evolved.
It's just... to me, it represents just letting go.
Yeah.
And taking control at the exact same time.
Yep.
It has so many different meanings.
Well, and that was a huge step, because, you know, to get to that point where you're actually comfortable enough to put it out there, that's a huge step. It's a huge step because you are now, you know, you're now vulnerable in front of so many people.
Oh, no, 100%.
You know? And that's
fucking nerve-wracking.
It's scary as shit, man. Yeah,
I don't know, scary
as shit.
I think it's probably just because I haven't been sleeping that well, so I'm just like tired and I just don't care. But I'm sure when I get well rested next week, I'm going to be like, fuck, why did I do that? No.
No, I think that you've been talking about this for a while. You've got a trip coming up.
Oh, I manifested the shit out of this.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's the thing. I think you got to give yourself that credit, that where credit is due. You know, you have been working really hard. It was a goal of yours to get this out. It was a goal of yours to put it out. And you've stood by that, and you've done it. And yeah, there's a lot to be nervous about. I get that. I think anybody would, you know, anybody who has done anything where it's, you know, had to get out in front of people, whether it's a recording or whether it's live, it is nerve-wracking, you know.
Well, anything that's
speaking, any of that kind of stuff.
Anything
you know?
That's easy isn't good, though, and that's kind of what's helped me go, like, keep through it.
Sure.
So I know it's like, you know, I mean, you think like Metallica. I mean, there's a lot of songs that have really deep meanings, and especially with them being as big as they are, there are so many people dissecting their songs for them. So that, like, you know what I mean? But that's like a compliment too, even though it might suck for them. That's such a compliment, you know what I mean? And that never would have been possible. I mean, they've influenced generations because of like a weird song but people over time ended up like looking into it, and that inspired them. And so even though it was probably uncomfortable for them to put out, like it might have just been a song to them, that might have been someone's like entire way of life now.
Sure.
And so
you just I think that that's the hardest thing, you know. I think the other part that's always weird is, for me at least, is when people tell you, and this is part of the imposter syndrome that we talked about a couple of times already, but you know, when someone then comes, you release it and they say good job, and you're like, I could have done better, right? Your first reaction is, well,
I was saying that to you earlier,
right? And our first reaction is to say, well, thank you, but I would have done this different. I would have, and it's like, wait a minute, just take the compliment. Just take the compliment. Why is it so hard to just take the compliment?
I know,
man?
and you would text me earlier, you're like, yeah, it sounds great on Spotify, because I remember I was nervous about it sounding a little louder on Spotify for some reason, which I am gonna get checked out. But I was like, yeah, I'm not happy with the master, and then I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
Yep.
I don't care, whatever.
Well, and you do. There has to be a certain point where you do decide to say, I don't want to say I don't care, because I think deeply we all do, but it gets to right. Yeah. We're not going to spend an unhealthy amount of time dissecting and whatever,
because I'd be miserable.
Right.
Just got doing that.
Well, and it just creates this whole cycle of, I don't know, we become nuts over it, and it's just it takes something that's enjoyable. Writing music is enjoyable, recording the music, right? That whole thing brought some type of enjoyment in that process. And why take that away by overthinking and criticizing? And, you enjoy doing it. And
I realize too, the thief of joy is comparison, and like living under, like how I was, just fear of being perceived and stuff. Like nobody that has ever gone down like as legends or like in history books didn't have like forces against them, and like probably their own self-doubts and shit. Like it was a risk. You have to take a risk. And also too, it's like it's either you can live your whole life always wishing always wishing that you had done something, instead of just being like, oh, I did it and I regret it, but it's whatever, at least I did it. So because at that point it's like then you just become to it like a slave to it. Like you just, if you're so scared of doing something, you're like a slave to your own fear, and then it's taking you away from life,
right,
and enjoying your life. So
don't you think it's crazy that we have these beautiful minds that want to create, but yet at the same time we just spew so much self-criticism and just shit on ourselves too at the same time? You have this beautiful mind to create music, and at the same time tear yourself apart over the creation. It's like,
well, and it's like,
it's
think
crazy.
Of how much potential in the world, out of all the lives who have lived and died, went unmet because they didn't act upon it. That's like a crazy thing to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Think of like how different our lives would be if like someone had an idea, and I don't know, like we might have had like water powered cars if someone in the 1800s acted upon their, like
right.
You never know, like there could have been someone who was trying to invent something and then their self-doubts got to them and they never did, or like you just never know how society could have been different if someone who their potential was matched. Yep. So but it also takes self-effort. You have to do it. You just have to. I think that was the thing that helped me, is I just convinced myself there was no other choice. I think that's such a powerful tool to use. Yeah. It's because your body, we're meant to adapt. I think we talked about this on the last podcast. Like our body and our brains are meant to adapt, mm-hmm. and they adapt under pressure when we think that we're cornered. So it's like when you kind of like tell yourself like it's live or die, right. You don't like you will adapt. You will do.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I just did. I just lived every day like that was like my purpose, almost like I just convinced myself I had to.
Right.
There's no choice.
Well, and I think, and the great thing is then be able to come to a place where we can talk about that, because I think that's important too, is the communication of, yeah, I think it's so important that people get to hear that these stories of transformation are possible.
Well, because I feel like people gatekeep them a little too much too. Like they don't really. I think it's also like, you look at like celebrities and stuff and just be like, oh, it came so easy to them. It comes so easy to them. Like it most definitely didn't.
So you're talking about success, right?
Yeah. Like, yeah. Well, just like even, and that's different for everybody, but like, like people you idolize, say you like pop music and you like Taylor Swift. You don't think it's probably still nerve-wracking for her to get up in front of millions of people in a single show and perform her songs, even though they all love her?
Oh, sure.
There's still just like that can't not be, you know what I mean? And in her starting out, look how far she's like. it's definitely been probably horrible for her own self-doubt, unless you're just like a completely self-centered, arrogant asshole, which there are people like that who just think that they're the shit. I mean, honestly, good on them, because it's probably easier for that to happen. But you know, most people that aren't, like, you might not see like the people you idolize in that way. You might think that, oh, like it just comes so easy to them, they were born for this. They probably fucking weren't, and they just made it happen. But you don't get to see that,
right? Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Because it's a very vulnerable side of them that most people obviously wouldn't share.
Well, right, and I think when that happens, when you become celebrity status, it does look overnight, because we don't remember a time when they weren't there necessarily. You know what I mean? There's that phenomena of.
You don't think, like, I don't know, like Johnny Depp or something, like even in his 20s. Before he got like super popular and super rich off of acting, you don't think he probably had a time where he's like, you know, maybe I should just go back to college or go get that factory job and live the normal life? Like, he probably had his self-doubts.
Absolutely.
And then he pushed through, and he fucking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He probably still even has those self-doubts.
I think, though, I don't know. I think there, yes. I think that what you're saying is true. I do. I think that anybody who is anybody has self-criticizes themselves in some way. I think everybody does that in some form, okay?
You just have to have a lot of humility.
I also think that people, so I'm going to take it to what I enjoy, so I'm going to take it to combat sports. And I think the people that are successful and become champions, it's not necessarily, I don't know how to put it. There's a drive there that's so different.
They manifest it.
Yeah, and that too. But there's a drive there, right? Like, you just can't. So if you're interested in baseball, you just can't play Little League and get to the major leagues. Like, you have to invest time in going to clinics, and you almost have to play all year round.
And even with music, I used to think that way too. Like, I've been saying I want to do music for years, and then the harsh fucking pill I had to swallow and harsh reality I had to face was, I can't take any shortcuts. Not that I really wanted to, but you know what I mean? It's just,
right, it's not like you can just drop a song and
I had to really, like, I still am. I always will be. I think you need to never stop being a student. Mm-hmm. Like, I think I was telling you this, like, this is one of my, one of the people I idolize the most, like Gordon Ramsay, even though he's like a douchebag on TV. Like, that's the funny part. That's obviously all acting, but his attitude is like, even though he's a well-known, well-respected, well-renowned and merited chef, like, he still is so open to being taught, and that's just crazy. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was like, I think he went to like Indonesia to do like a competition. It was all against like these older Indonesian ladies.
We talked about this last
episode. He placed second. And he was so happy, and he was like asking them like, "Oh, like, what do you do like for this? What's your recipe?" Like, he was so happy to like just come in second, and like, just the attitude alone, like, he was trying to learn from them, and like, you never want to stop being a student,
right?
And so like, I just think, that's not talked about enough, and you just got to always learn. But like, I had to really, like, for production, there's no shortcuts. I couldn't follow the YouTube steps and be like, I'm gonna put my EQ like this, and like, no, I had to learn with intent how to do it and why I'm doing it, and that was the hard part, because they teach, or they say like publicly, like, you just do this. Okay, well, what made you think that you should do it that way, and why? But they don't ever explain that. They don't explain the why part. So, but that's just life. You can't really take shortcuts on shit. If you want to, and I feel like too, and this, because you're talking about the champions in combat sports, like, they manifest it. But I feel like and we were talking about like the word suffering. I think the definition of manifesting, and like what the side that people don't often see about it, because I see it all the time on social media, like, oh yeah, you're manifesting this wrong. There's no wrong manifesting. Right. You're just not thinking of you just think, oh, if I think about it enough, it'll come to me. No, you actually have to like work your ass off.
That's right.
If you want to be the president of the United States, the Secret Services aren't just going to show up at your door and be like, hey, you want to be there?
You got to work for it.
You have to be in the scene for like 40 fucking years. You have to like,
right.
So, and there's a quote, this changed my life too. It said something about luck, because I hear all the time people be like, oh, luck, you're lucky, they're lucky. Luck is time and place. Like, you can only be you have to be in the right time or at the right place at the right time for you to be lucky. So that involves you being in the right place first,
right,
and then that right time while you're in that right place will come. So
makes sense.
So you have to be in that right place. I mean, like bands, I see bands all the time. There's some band like Knocked Loose has been around for years. They've been around for fucking like a decade, and now they got super popular super quickly. But that's because they just stuck to it. They were in the right place at the right time. They inserted themselves there.
Right. Well, I think it's two different things. I think that I see it this way. I see that there are absolutely people who get, and I think those are the quick celebrities that you see. You know, it's like the ones and dones, right? But it's like they are the people who are in the right place at the right time. I think whether it's showing up for an audition or whatever, right? But I think the difference is for people like you're talking about, like Knocked Loose, and I also think about people who dedicate their lives to combat sports because they start young and they work, or any professional sport. You don't get to professional sports, you don't get to that level without a certain amount of commitment, drive, and I think you're right, mental health, where you have to manifest, and it's it's just so true, and I do agree with that.
I just feel like in social media how like the word manifesting is portrayed as, oh, you just have to think about it, because that's all I hear people saying when they come to like
I get you.
Say the definition of the word, but like they never say like you have to act on it. If you want to be a martial artist, you have to go to the gym and train your ass off for years, and then you start. Yep. Like it's not, you can't just be like, I want to be.
No, it takes a certain level. I want to be
a football, NFL,
kicker.
Yeah, like, and then never go to play football. Like that just doesn't work like that.
Right.
You have to work your way up. You actually have to work for it. So like, and I believe that like, we believe like the universe will guide us intuitively where we need to be at the right time. But like, also you have to put the work in. You can't just not do anything and then just expect something to come from it. So
it's true.
Something doesn't come from nothing. You know.
That's right. No, you have to have a seed. I also think though that there is a little bit of there's a shine or something that I think that people who become celebrities have. There's something I think to them.
It's called charisma.
Yeah,
They've done studies on it.
Yeah, there is. There's a certain level of charisma there that helps, I think, open doors that aren't opened for everybody.
And charisma itself too is also very broad, or not broad, it's a very like wide term. There's almost like a spectrum to it, like the words like suffer and grief, and there's a lot to charisma. It's not like I guess what would you think charisma is associated with? Like something like a comedian or something, someone that can like make you laugh or like is like charming in a way. There's more to it than just that though.
I'm going to say for somebody who's grown up in the church, I've heard charisma used in a variety of different ways, because I've even heard of different faiths within the Christian church being charismatic. And so I've heard I have heard the word used in so many different ways that the definition seems to kind of... The way
I see the definition of charisma is just kind of outgoing in any type of way. It's like a spectrum. So you could be... you could probably be charismatic and sad. I mean, think of like Kurt Cobain. In a way, he was very charismatic, just in the way he expressed himself and his aesthetic. The grunge, he made the grunge era, but that was because of charisma in a way.
Charisma, I think, brings people in. Yeah. When I think of charisma is about the ability to get people to connect with you. So if you have a lot of charisma, and this is where I think the churches also talk about it, right? A charismatic church means that it's got a broad connection, and usually they're on the brink of different trends. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think that's what, to me, charisma is a shine that people have that allows them to draw people to them for some reason.
What I'm speaking of is like what's the word? Like connotation. Like it has almost like a happy connotation to the word in a way, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like there's just more to that, and that was like my point.
I see charisma,
suffering. Like grief is not like you would think as a sad connotation, and same with suffering. It's not the truth. You know what I mean? That there's way more to.
I see what you're saying.
So that's what I'm saying with charisma. It's the same thing. It's charisma can be sad, like Kurt Cobain in a way. Like he was very grungy and depressed, but that's like what made him charismatic. He was just unapologetically himself.
Yep.
So being himself is charisma. I mean, charismatic. I think everyone at heart is charismatic. A lot of people just keep it in. You know what I mean? And
I get what you're saying now, but where it is similar is that regardless of the feeling behind it for the individual, it's still giving off that vibe of connection. So people connected with Kurt Cobain maybe because they also were suffering in some way, or depressed in some way, or upset or sad or angry in some way, much how people might connect with your song because they too are finding themselves angry or in this place, right? And so there's a certain level of connection that comes in. But I see what you're saying, where charisma isn't necessarily good or bad, it just is.
Yep.
And it's how the person connects with that individual that makes what charisma is. Is that right?
Yep. It's like being like unapologetically yourself, like the almost aura you give off to people. But there's like, even though these words have like connotative meanings to them, I feel like there's a way like more spectral like definition to these words. Not spectral, but like spectrum definition. You know what I mean? As far, it can cover more emotions than just the connotative, feeling the word gives you. I don't know. Right. I'm rambling, but you know what I mean.
I feel what you're saying. Yeah, I was just thinking, how the fuck did we get here? I don't remember where we went.
All our podcasts like this, so I mean.
I was like, how? Okay.
But this also all ties back into like the music stuff. I mean,
it does.
I hope people connect with like my song in their own way. I don't want them to know exactly. I mean, there's a lot of the lyrics like are personally, they do mean something.
Sure.
Some of them don't. Some of them you probably think mean something, probably don't. And the ones that you think don't mean anything that sound like filler probably mean more than you think.
Right.
But that's just how songwriting goes. So I don't want anyone to like dissect what I say or whatever. But I definitely like, I hope it happens. I don't know if it'll happen, but I hope people do connect with it.
Yeah.
Like they say, I want to know like what people's perspectives on it is.
Yeah, that's great.
That also that could also change my own perspective. You never know.
So with saying that, are you going to put the lyrics up on Spotify and Apple Music and so forth? So that, because I know you can look at the lyrics when you're listening to the song.
It's kind of a pain in the ass. I got to figure out how to do it. There's a lot of stuff I got to.
Oh, so that
I still have to make my pages and everything.
Somebody in the Apple Dungeon isn't typing that out and doing that.
So there is like an AI tool you can use to do it, but it's like, I mean, I don't know that. I'm screaming, I'm doing like gutturals and shit. So I don't know that the enunciation of the word will come through properly to AI. So
right.
I'll probably just have to write it myself, but I already have it written. I could probably just copy and paste it, but I have to like time it, because like on Apple Music how you could like
that's
colors it in as like
I guess I thought that like that. Well, and I guess that's what I thought. Yeah, now I understand what you're saying, because I was gonna say I thought AI did that.
Because if I'm gonna put the lyrics on, I want it to do like the moving, like where the song or the lyrics follow with the song on Apple Music. You know what I mean? I'm gonna do it all the way. I'm not gonna just, because you've seen like where you click on the lyrics and it's all just the lyrics, but like then there's the edited ones that actually like move with the song when you click on it. I want it to be like that if I'm gonna do it. So
I haven't seen that as much. Now what I see is what it does is it'll put the lyrics that are being sung and coming up in white, and for so much, so it's like broken off into bars. So like there'll be one or two bars, and then below that the bars are grayed out, and so you've got a portion of it like highlighted in like a white highlight, and then this is grayed out, and then, but I guess you're right, it does move in a sense with the song. Sometimes it's like
synced with it.
Yeah.
But
sometimes
I'll have to figure out how to do that.
Right.
I also don't know anything about Spotify because I use Apple Music personally, so I'm gonna have to like. So what someone was just telling me, because I was saying how it sounds a little bit louder on Spotify for some reason. I think that's just, it might be my own personal normalization settings on Spotify, but I don't know. I've never used Spotify. I didn't even know if it had that. So like I'll have to tweak that shit. But I still have to make my artist pages. I still have to make my social media shit. So I'm still going through the motion. I've been so busy with work and stuff. Yeah. And also too, I didn't want to get too into that stuff anyways, because so I was telling like, mom before this, I didn't even know that I was going to make the deadline that I had set for myself. So I wasn't proactive about making all this shit because I just didn't want to make it for nothing. Because I didn't know, honestly I thought I'd have to delay it. Right. I'm not gonna lie.
But no,
I also just didn't want to get anxious and think about it either.
Right.
So, because then I would have fucking died inside.
Yeah, no, I get it. No, I think it's incredible. One, I think, again, to kind of recap, and, one, I think it's great that you pushed yourself to do it, and you did it. You set the goal, and not only did you, because it's so easy, like you said, you can delay it. There's so many excuses, I think, that, and some are very valid. I don't want to sit there and say, like, there aren't reasons that things get delayed and projects get delayed, because obviously life happens. But I think for all of the things that we have talked about between the other 2 episodes with you, knowing that we are people who are perfectionists, and that there's some, definitely mental health stuff that we've talked about, to then set the goal and then follow through, push it, and actually get it out earlier, because you said you weren't going to get it out until you thought. Well, no, did you say before you were going on vacation or after?
I was going to probably do it on the day.
I thought it was after for some reason.
But
I don't know. I'd have to go
honestly,
back.
what helped me through, because the song itself was fine, but like if I weren't able to master the song, I couldn't have put it out, because I mean it would just sound like shit.
No, I get it.
But I got the master sounding good enough. I still could tweak it, but it's also very common for people to do remasters and upload remasters.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So that was kind of what helped me just be like, all right, fuck it, I'm letting it go. And because I already know in the future, and I already plan, I do want to remaster it. So, but I also want to get more comfortable with master, because I learned how to master in 2 days. I've only ever learned mastering on this song. So once I practice and like I was saying, learn the intent of what I'm doing when I do it. Because the mastering on this song was kind of just like fucking around, hoping it all fell in place a little bit. I mean, I kind of knew what I was doing, but I was just so new to it that I wasn't comfortable with that intent. So now that I know what I'm doing, the next release, I'm going to definitely take more time on it, and then I'm probably going to, once I know and I'm more experienced in mastering, then I'm going to come back and probably remaster the song.
For sure. Yeah, I see that's a huge trend. I mean, name an artist who doesn't have a remastered, because there is a difference.
Yeah.
Remastered album. I mean, I go back all the time, and looking at classic albums that I would have, that I haven't listened to in years, and all of a sudden you see, I think Guns N' Roses was one. I just saw that, they had a whole...
a lot of times they don't sound that different either.
I know, that's what I was just going to say. I was listening to Appetite of Destruction was the one I was listening to, the remastered, and it added they added 10 other songs.
I'll actually tell you why that is. So the remasters do sound a little bit different, but until you know what mastering does, you kind of... Because I've always wondered, like, why does it sound the same even though it's remastered? And I've kind of, Spotify, because it's a little bit louder on Spotify, my song, it's a little like, you can hear a tiny bit like more distortion on it, because it bumped up the volume, there's more headroom to it, right? And that's what mastering is. You want to get the max amount of headroom and make it as loud without like clipping it and like making it sound like shit, because all the music platforms turn it down for you. So you want it to be loud. Like if I were to open up my MacBook right now and show you the file, like I think I did, it's loud as shit, and it just kind of sounds a little shitty. But when it's uploaded, like Spotify turns it down by like 14 dB, I think. So, but I think they compress it by 14 dB, because it's with compressors. If you turn it down but compress it, it'll get louder. So I think that's what it meant. Whereas Apple Music just turned it down a little bit. So Apple Music sounds phenomenal. Sounds the best on Apple Music in my opinion. YouTube, it sounds great too. Not too different from Apple Music. And then Spotify, it's just a little loud. Gotcha. But that's what mastering is. So like if I were to, it's like the distortion a little bit. That's like the little high end frequencies that are very hard to hear, but it like rounds the edges basically of the song. It like just trims the fat away. I don't know how to explain it.
No, that makes sense.
So like, obviously you've heard vinyls from the 80s. They sound a little scratchy, just a tiny bit. And then you hear like a remaster on like Appetite of Destruction. If you were to listen to Sweet Child of Mine from like an actual 80s vinyl from when it came out, or like even a CD, it'll probably sound a little bit scratchy, a little bit like high end frequency, maybe a tiny bit boomy bass frequencies. And then the remaster, it like just chops off the ends that aren't necessary for the, audible spectrum.
Right.
So
no, I get you. Yeah, it is. You could tell that you have learned a ton.
Yeah, but I like about mastering. Sorry.
No. But what I appreciate, first of all, if it hasn't been said now between the 11, 12 episodes that are out, I enjoy the process. I enjoy the conversation. I just enjoy the connection and being able to talk and learn myself. That's what I really get out of it. I love the fact that we do get to be a little bit deeper and we do get to be a little bit more vulnerable. I love that aspect of it, but I also just love the fact of connecting. So it's never just rambling. But other than that, though, I think it's just incredible too, because from the glow up to now, it really kind of paints the whole picture of all these different experiences that you've gone through and how you've been able to make changes and how you continue to change and evolve as a person. I think, and that's really the cool part of the story that I see that's being captured.
Honestly, too, and this is why I've just learned to trust my gut, because like I've written a lot of songs, a lot of things that aren't always finished, but like for some reason my intuition guided me to this song specifically, even though it gave me a fuck ton of anxiety because of like the meaning, but I feel like the meaning became even better because of it, because it like the song name in and of itself is like a lesson that I didn't even learn until like today. So right. But like I've had a lot of things with less jarring names to it, and like just it doesn't have a lot of like shock to it, but, right. And I was honestly gonna just like release those because I thought it would make me more comfortable. And then, like, I don't know, the universe just didn't give me a fucking...
you gotta do this one.
It's either balls to the wall or nothing, so...
Right.
But I think that taught me the biggest lesson, and I think that's why the meaning of it has grown on to... It's changed, it's evolved for me.
So we're gonna plug it again. So Vertigo Nation... If you're, listen, I'm also going to put a disclaimer out there because I know that I have a variety of listeners and I appreciate all of my listeners. So because I appreciate all my listeners, I just want you to understand that the music that we're talking about is metal music. So we're talking about heavy music. Metal, right? So
heavy metal is like Ozzy Osbourne, Metallica. The names are very
okay. So in fairness, okay.
Heavy metal is like not or 80s and maybe 90s, like Ozzy Osbourne, Metallica. That's heavy metal.
Okay,
this is
schooling me. He's schooling me.
This is deathcore. Okay. This is heavy shit.
Right. So this is like for those, and because there are people in my generation, believe it or not. I know that I'm kind of older. I don't want to say old, but older. My generation, we were the guys that were Cannibal Corpse, and you know what I mean? So if you like extreme metal music, then you're going to want to check this out. Ripjaw is the artist name. Suffer Unto Me. No,
Suffer Me Now.
Suffer Me Now. Why did I say Suffer Unto Me? What is that another? Fuck it.
I've heard that quote before.
Suffer Unto Me. I don't know. So let me redo this, Vertigo Nation, because I'm not going to edit it out because, it's a live conversation that you get to hear. Or I'm just lazy about editing. I don't know. But anyway, Ripjaw, Suffer Me Now.
Yep.
Find it on Apple. Find it on Spotify. Find it wherever. Find it as part of this podcast because I was going to ask you when we're off the air, but I'll just ask you on the air as we're wrapping up. I was going to put a snippet as the intro. I was going to ditch my OG intro for right now and just put a snippet of the song up as the intro.
Also, I wanted to just say really quick, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
The artist name, you and I, we've all discussed like what it means, I guess.
Yeah.
But I have a other song planned. I don't know if it'll come out as the next single or the one after that, but that's kind of in tie with the artist name. So eventually,
that's cool.
I'll just tease a future episode of going over that meaning.
All right. Very cool.
That's on the horizon.
All right. So that's the exciting part of this too, is that there's going to be more to come. So it's not just a one and done. We're going to actually get to hear some more. So for those of you who listen in,
you thought I was done?
Oh, no. I didn't think you were done. I'm just explaining to everybody else that there will be more to come. And that's the beauty in this though. And that's why, like, if you set goals and go for it, man, I think that's the thing. So yeah, Ripjaw, Suffer Me Now, check it out. I will put a snippet up as the intro to this episode, so you'll hear a little bit of it. And it's a little late now, obviously, because if you've made it to this point, you already heard the intro. But hey, the intro was Ripjaw, Suffer Me Now. So I'm telling you that you already heard a snippet of it. Now go check it out, because it's going to definitely make your head spin. Take it easy, Vertigo Nation.